interviewing. Okay, I know interviewing can be kind of hard sometimes. You don't know what to expect, but it really doesn't have to be that bad. As you can see in my first slide, I have an example of two different people. There's one that's very clean cut, he's got a nice suit on, and the other kind of looks goofy, if you want to put it that way. He's got some plaid and red and different colors going on, kind of funky. And it says, who would you hire? Of course, I would pick the person on the right, but also it depends on the job. If the one on the left is looking for a job in being a clown or something, then he's probably okay. But the person on the right, who is probably interviewing to be in a corporate position, then he's dressed for the job. Excuse me. So, like I said, being interviewed doesn't have to be scary or hard at all, as long as you're prepared and you know what you're doing. So, first of all, interviewing is just a conversation. You just want to talk with the interviewer and kind of get to know them. You can do some icebreakers, talk about the weather or talk about their family if you know them well. Just depends on how well you know the person, but find some common ground to talk about so that you can kind of break that ice and feel at ease. And sometimes the interviewer, they're nervous too, so it'll help them feel relaxed and get ready and in the mood for the interview. Now, there is different attire for being interviewed. As you saw on the very first slide, there's two men, and they were in different clothing. Men have a little bit, easier of a job in dressing up for an interview. Men usually just wear suits. They wear a nice shirt that isn't wrinkly, very ironed, usually a tie. The tie can be blue or red, no funky colors. Again, unless you're interviewing to be a clown or something like that. So for women, we have a little bit harder. We have more options. So we can choose a dress, or we can choose a skirt and a blouse. We can choose a suit with pants. It just depends on kind of what you're going for and what you're interviewing for. Also, with shoes, for both women and men, you want them to be polished if they need to be polished, or just have something that looks nice and isn't all scuffed up and old. Sometimes women have kind of a contradicting idea of what to do with their hair. They can wear it down, a little bit of curl or straight, as long as they're not touching their hair and moving it out of their face. With men, they obviously want to be kind of clean cut with no long, weird sideburns or anything like that, no beard. That is probably not the most appropriate for an interview, but just make sure that your hair looks nice and that you look according to what you're interviewing for. So with this slide, there's just some other interviewing advice that I have. Excuse me. With your resume, you want to make sure that you have a couple copies of your resume and that you bring it to the interview. Sometimes your interviewer will ask you for your resume and they will want to look at it kind of as they're interviewing you. So make sure you have a clean resume printed out. You don't necessarily want it on cardstock or anything like that. Just normal paper will work. No funky colors again, just black and white is great. Very standard. And with your contact sheet for your references, you do want to make sure that your references know ahead of time that you're using them for your references and that they support you in what you're doing and they know what job you're applying for. It's embarrassing when you have someone who you're being interviewed by call your references before or after the interview and they don't know who you are, they don't remember who you are, or they have no clue what you're being hired for. And so it just messes up your relationship with your boss and probably the person who you put on your reference sheet. And you want to bring a copy of that as well to your interview. Another thing is practice. you know, the old saying, practice makes perfect. I don't know if that's totally true, but perfect practice makes perfect, and it does great. I've had many interview where I've had my family, friends, whoever, do mock interviews for me, and it's been really great to practice. Now, punctuality. You want to be punctual. I try to be 10 minutes early, which is on time when I go to an interview. It's just nice to be able to be there and feel comfortable, be able to sit there and kind of wait on the interviewer. Now, sometimes when you go and you're early, it's good to also interact with the people that are there so that you get to know those employees that you could possibly be working with and kind of build that camaraderie right off the bat, build those relationships. Now, when you're in the interview, you do want to listen. You want to listen to what the interviewer is telling you and what they're asking you. Now, a lot of the things that they tell you, you can use for the questions and answers that you ask them and answer their questions. Because they will talk a lot about different things, maybe aspects of the job, stuff like that, and you'll want to listen to that and be able to respond accordingly. Then sell yourself. You know, you are so confident, you've gotten there, you've got your interviewing garb on, you're all ready. You need to sell yourself. You want to be confident, but not too overly confident, of course. You don't want to be prideful or anything, but you do want to sell yourself and make sure that they know that you know that you're good and that you're the right person for the job. Now, with I've used some ums in this presentation, and I'm sorry. When you're in an interview, you do want to try to stay away from those ums because it makes you not sound as intelligent. You don't know where you're going to go in the next part of your sentence or answer to a question, and so try to stay away from those. Now, you will usually get a time to ask the interviewer questions as well, and so you want to be prepared with those questions ahead of time. At the end of the interview, they'll usually give you a few minutes to ask them questions, whether it be about the salary or about the work hours or about the pension or the insurance or whatever. They'll give you time to ask those questions. So that's in the preparation. Again, you want to research the company. You want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, what the salary is, who you'll be working with, what product they sell, what service do they give. Excuse me again. And be positive. You know, when you're in the interview, you want to be friendly, you want to be positive, you want to get to know them. Not necessarily buddy up with them, but you do want to be a very bright, outgoing person and show that. Now, with follow-up and thank you notes, that is a great idea. When you're done with the interview, you want to make sure you know who interviewed you and who you met in that office. And then later on, you can call them and you can say, hey, how's the interview process going? I appreciate the time that you took to interview me. What else do you need from me, if anything? I mean, you can talk to them and kind of get to know them even more and thank them for interviewing you and taking that time out of their busy schedule. And with thank you notes, the same thing. You can personally deliver them or you can send them at a later time and just thank them for their time and being able to get to know them in the interview process. Now, there's some non-verbal interviewing tips that I have as well. The first one, kind of a given. You want to smile, you want to be happy, you want to make sure that they know that you're excited about the position and that you're here to answer their questions and to be an asset for them for that position that you're looking for. When you go into that interview, you want to make sure that you have a firm handshake. You don't want to give them the limp noodle or the limp fish or whatever you want to call it. You want to make sure that they know that you're confident in that grip and that you're a strong personality. And then make eye contact. When you first go in, make eye contact. When someone's asking you a question, make eye contact. A lot of the times you'll be interviewed by just one person, and so that's really comfortable to make eye contact with the one person. Now, sometimes you'll be 2 or 3 or 4 different people in the interview, and you'll want to look at that person who first asks you the question, and then kind of go down the line and get back to that person and end with them at the end of your answer for that question that they asked you. And, I've been in different situations, different types of interviews, job interviews, interviews for royalty, for Miss Hurricane, different things like that. And so there's different situations that you need to kind of know that there's different types of interviews, there's different answers that you'll give, and different situations for the nonverbal communication skills that you have or that you'll develop. When you're in the interview, make sure that you sit up straight. You don't want to slouch or sit over or bend over or have your ankle up on your knee or something like that, where you just want to sit up straight. You want to look like you're there to interview. And you can lean forward a little bit slightly just to help them know that you are engaged and you are excited about the position and that you want to know what they're talking about. When you're sitting back, it kind of seems like you're kind of set apart from the situation, and you don't want to be there or feel kind of just like you don't want to talk to them and that you're not having a good day or something like that. And then try to avoid nervous habits as you're in the interview. Sometimes you'll get the urge to fidget with your hair or your legs. Sometimes people will have restless leg syndrome while they're in the interview, and they'll just move their legs or their feet. You try not to do that because it kind of comes off as being nervous or something like that, and you want to make sure that they, again, know that you're confident and that you're there for that interview and want to be there. So just with that, don't touch your face, and girls, if you do wear your hair down instead of up in a ponytail or a bun, just don't mess with it. Don't make sure it's out of your face with a clip or with hairspray or something so that you're not messing with it. And then the last thing on this slide, just make sure that when you're talking, you don't overly gesture, but do gesture sometimes, because it's, I don't know, countless interviews that I've been in or that I've done, you'll see people and they'll just put their hands down and they'll just keep their hands down and they just kind of look nervous or timid. And when you use your hands to talk, it does show that engagement and that you're kind of in a normal conversation. So it's really, really great to be able to use your hands, just not too much again. Now this last slide, I'm going to actually go to a video. And this video is of the worst, I call it the worst interview ever. It's of this interviewer who's got a few different employees interviewing for a position, and he's just ragging on them. He's doing the worst things that you could think of during an interview. And so I thought it was kind of funny to look at. So we'll look at that for a minute, and then I'll make some closing remarks.
Hey, Tripp and Tyler here, and welcome to the Urgent RX Challenge, where we try to give real people real headaches.
Today, I'm going to give some unsuspecting job applicants the worst interview of their life.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
I'm Tripp. Good. So, you want to stand or sit?
Sit would be
Okay,
good.
great. So, let's stand. Tell you what.
Okay.
Well, we'll sit. Okay. What was your name? I'm sorry.
Charity.
Charity. What's up, dude?
Nothing really. Just.
Is that a perm?
Excuse me?
A perm?
No, this is natural.
Oh, cool. What can I do for you?
I would like a job with your company.
Oh, great. This is a very well-formatted resume.
Thank you.
But that's one thing about resumes. What were you hoping to make?
Money-wise, how much am I looking to make?
Yeah. What were you hoping the salary would be?
Maybe 30 to 40.
Okay, it's not going to be anywhere near that.
Okay, it was just the job listing said.
I know.
37.
How am I going to get people in here? Lisa!
Hey.
There's a bug in my coffee.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not saying you did it. I'm just...
Okay.
Give me another one.
Yeah.
Like right now.